We're happy tonight to be able to have another in our series of Memories of the Past in Greenwich Township here in Warren County. And our subject tonight is Henry Allen Hawk, a lifelong member here in Stewartsville, who happens to be the husband of Helen Hawk, the Historical Society's treasurer. And we welcome you here tonight, Henry Allen. I always call him Allen, but the correct name is Henry Allen. I think one of the things that we wanted to know was, I think, about the lime kilns here in Greenwich Township. Do you have one on your property? It's fairly good shape. Maybe we can start with some, before we get to that, maybe we can start with some of your childhood memories growing up here in town.
My memory's kind of short on growing up. I think I grew up fast.
Well, I know you played football with the little football with the Stewartsville Scholastics, and
Well, I played with Phillipsburg High School first, 1940-41. And then when I got out of that, I come up and played with the Stewartsville. Had more fun there than any time in my life, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And you graduated from the old school up here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And what year was that?
Well, I graduated from high school in 42, so we're going back up 4 years.
Okay. Then you're getting up to, after high school, you're getting up to the time you went into service.
I was in the service for 3 years.
In the Navy.
Navy. Now there in 46, that's when I got into the lime business.
Okay. You actually run that lime kiln?
Well, I helped. I didn't run it, no.
Well, I remember John Henry running the lime kiln.
Well,
And its father, I think.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
All I done really was tried to help him, but mostly I sneezed and coughed and run outside to get a breath of fresh air. I spent more time outside than I did making lime.
Yeah. Well, let's see now. After the service, you got married, or was you married before you
Married.
were married?
I have 2 children, John and Shirley.
Uh-huh.
Worked on the GI Bill at learning to be a carpenter.
Uh-huh.
Stuck at it for 21 years learning.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I guess. Then I finally
Good
went in
slow
business
work.
for myself for another 20-some years, and now I finally retired.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Now I work in my garden and look smart around the house there.
That's a hard job. Well, talking about these lime kilns now, how were they constructed? How were they operated?
Well, why don't you let me start it?
Go ahead.
What I've
Do what you-
what I've kicked around for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
This morning.
Yeah.
Well, these lime kilns were built down where my home is now, and they were built in 31 and 32. And before that, well, Helen's father, John Henry Kinkle, he used to call that the crusher lot down there. 7 acres down there. And there was a stone crusher on the property at one time, but that's before our time. I don't remember, and I don't know anybody else that remembers it, so it's been back quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
But when that folded up, when they got really getting into crushing stone, they had to quit. Of course, the hole was down there yet, and that became the town dump for, I guess, 20 years, or at least. And a little story on that, Alan Stone up by the water tower was building a house, and Trini that dug it out asked me if he could, any place in Stewartsville to get rid of any dirt. I said, I got the right spot for you. And he must have brought in 50 to 75 loads of dirt down there, and he brought his dozer down, leveled all off. Man, I was tickled to death. But would you believe the next day there was a bag of garbage on top of the ice? I couldn't believe it. That somebody, after seeing that. So evidently when they got out of the stone crushing business, they got into this lime business. So they had to build these kilns. And they evidently dug by hand. I never heard Pat talk about any type of machinery down there to dig this thing out. And they had to construct a road in on the top of it. They had to build a building in front of these kilns, and that was constructed out of railroad rails. They stuck them in concrete and let them stick up. And that's one thing that puzzles me. Maybe you people can help me. How did they cut those rails to length and stuff?
No, they didn't have burning outfits back then,
I wonder if they did.
I wonder what year that would be.
Well, 31, 32.
Yeah,
They probably had them.
They had burning outfits.
But I don't remember him ever seeing one around any place unless he hired somebody.
Yeah.
Because they built this out of railroad iron, then they put a truss roof on it and put tin roof on the top of that.
Too heavy to hacksaw.
Oh. So anyhow, they evidently started with the concrete work. They probably got the concrete for free out to Edison, I imagine. They probably hauled that. They had an old 29 Chevy truck with mechanical brakes. I remember that because you used to have to stand up on them to stop the thing. And something I found out, just let me get that. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. Something I just found out just yesterday. And I brought one with me just for kicks. These kilns evidently were shaped. You know, they dug them around and they were 9 feet across and they were about 12 foot deep. And these are a regular fire brick. And you can see they're sort of round on the outside. Some of them are rounder than others. And it had a name on here. ARCOFRAK. Now it must have been the name of the company probably that made them. But they were laid like that, and this was the inside of the kiln where the lime was burnt.
Now this is part of the round circular.
This is part of the round circle,
they
yes.
laid them and
And I can, yeah, I'll just pass that around. That shows the stone being laid. They laid some round and some in and out. And but that must have been quite a job to do by hand, because they had to dig this out and then they had to fill in behind them as they laid it up. And all manual work. And it must have been certainly some job for a couple of fellows. But anyhow, after they built these things, they evidently, from what I can read in John's book, is that they looked around for the best limestone they could find. Now there's limestone and there's limestone, the way I understand it. Some limestone will burn and some won't burn. So, and every farm had a lime kiln years ago. Every farm had a lime kiln on their property. And I think they were just built out of stone, though. Yeah. And they used to burn, the farmers used to have their own little quarry on the farms around here, and they'd burn it, but they wouldn't put it into powder. They'd just throw it on the wagons and haul it out over the fields and spread it around and let the rain slack it, what they call slacking the lime. This limestone, after it's burned, will crumble and fall apart. And my father-in-law told me a couple times there how that some of the farmers, they were hauling a load of this burnt limestone out, and it started to rain and caught their wagon on fire. So this limestone, when water hits it, it gets really hot. And but anyhow, between my father-in-law, John Henry Kinkle, and his father, Henry Kinkle, they explored around, and the best lime, they sent samples in. There's some things in down home there that they sent samples different places to see evidently what, from this stone you got the better lime or something like that. And they decided on down here on the corner at Weissey's, where Weissey built his house. And I can remember that when we used to get down swimming there, old Henry Kinkle, John Henry's father, would be down there with a sledgehammer beating on these stones all day long.
Yeah, I remember.
And my father used to pick him up mornings. My father worked at the paper mill, and they pick old Henry Kinkle up, drop him off down there, and then my dad would pick him up on the way home. And he would sledgehammer, and they would blast once in a while down there, I'm sure. But that was his job, mostly beating these stones down to smaller sizes. so
Now they take those stones, they bring them up to the kiln, right?
right, he would
And-
smash the stones up, and with the old 29 Dodge truck, when they got the kilns done, they'd get down and they'd load the truck up, bring it up, and set up on top of the kilns. Now, to load a kiln, they used to take wood, tires, anything that would burn, paper, and there's a railroad irons across the bottom, but you put this in underneath, and he'd ram the stuff in underneath there, and then put a layer of coal. There'd be about, if I remember rightly, around a 8 to 10 inch layer of coal he started out with.
Soft coal?
No, regular coal.
Regular coal.
Regular coal, pea coal, I believe it was.
Uh-huh.
And then they would start throwing these stones in, but they'd throw them in, but then they'd go in and place them too. They didn't just throw them in a heap. They placed them around so they would burn properly. And then you put I think they used to, the first layer was about, maybe 15 to 20 inches maybe thick. Then they put another layer of coal. Then another layer of stone would get a little, maybe 20 inches thick. And then another layer of coal, and they keep going and going and going until they get to the top. And then I just was reading on a wall down there where Helen and I was, lit killed such and such a date, 1938, 1936.
Yeah. Now on the wall, should be in the wall of the.
No, on the tin building.
On the tin building.
In this building, yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's all written down when he lit a lot of these off.
Okay.
And
I wonder how long it took to burn.
it took anywhere from a week to 10 days.
Uh-huh.
I think it depended on the weather, the wind, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because the air had to go up through this to keep this coal burning. And there's an eye in the kiln. And the eye of the kiln was 2 foot wide by 4 foot high. And that was for the purpose of starting it at the bottom and also for taking the stone out of the kiln. But they would light that off, and it would burn about a week to 10 days. They built these, did I say they built these kilns 31 and 32?
Yeah.
So, reading down there, I think they used to work till January, and then I think they'd hang it up for the rest of the year. I was wondering why, and I think probably one of the big reasons was water. You need water when you make lime, and I think the water would freeze up on that, and they had, they didn't have any water there. They had to catch it off the roof of the building they had there, or pump it out of the creek.
Well, now why water? I mean,
Well,
how would they apply water?
I'll get to that in one
Okay.
minute.
Okay, I'm a little ahead
So
of
this
you
thing
here.
would burn. Now they'd have to leave it cool a little, and this eye faced the building. So after that burnt and cooled off a little bit, through this eye they had to pull that stone out of that kiln. Now they had long little tongs and they hung in the barn down there. I really didn't know what they were for, but they had to reach back in there with a handle on about so thick and pull that stone out of there. Then so they could get the scoop shovel on it. Then you took the scoop shovel and you made a pile in the center of the floor, right in front of this conveyor. They had a conveyor in this building. So they'd shovel out. Well, Pap, I can see him yet. He'd make a nice little circle, great big scoop shovel. Now you got to pull it out first. Hey, this is work.
Yeah.
And then you throw the water on it. And when you throw the water on this, burnt limestone is real light. It just cooks it or something. I don't know the theory to the thing. But if you took that piece of limestone, some of them are bigger than others, and stuck it in a bucket of water, you'd have to leave it go because it would
Disintegrate?
bubble and it would fall apart and it would get hot.
Disintegrate.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So they throw the water on it, then he throws some more on it until they got that pile up there. I imagine he had probably 1.5 tons, 2 tons of stone in the center of this building, and keep putting the water on it. Then he would cover it with what he called tailings. And the tailings is what is left from the lime that didn't burn properly.
Okay.
What's in the stone, I don't know what it could be, if it could be iron or whatever. But that wouldn't burn, and that would come out of the conveyor one side, and the lime would come out the other side. So then he would cover that all up. Now he's scoop shoveling all this time, you know. And that would sit for several days until it would be steaming like and that. And all right, now that would be ready for the lime. So now he gets a scoop shovel out again. They had a conveyor going up in this barn, and at the top of the conveyor was a big round screen. And he had two, what do you call them, one lung engines? What are they?
Cylinders.
Put, they
Yeah.
go. And they were so covered with lime, I used to look at it, they'll never start. He'll never get them started, you know, and they were white. And he had two of them in there, one to run the screen and one to run this conveyor with a belt. Now he has to take the scoop shovel, shovel it up in the hopper there, and on the conveyor belt. Up the conveyor would go, and the screen would go around, the lime would come down this way, and the tailings would go that way. And he had a bagger there, and this lime, by the way, was called Soil Delight. Beautiful name. And they were paper bags, they weighed 50 pounds when they were full. And it still burns me up that I didn't get a couple of those and frame them or something, but the mice ate them all up.
Cloth bags?
No, they're paper.
They're paper bags.
Paper
And
bags.
they had to sew them across the top?
Well, they had I got that down home there yet. They had copper wire with two little ends on them. Oh, Agway has them down there, and you hook them on there and you pull the thing and it goes, and it just tightens it right up.
Oh, okay.
I got that down there. I have a full wash tub full of those ties I've been trying to give to somebody. I think they're copper. God, they bend real easy, you know.
Uh-huh.
So that man would sort of run that thing all by himself, and would go up. And of course, Dale Stone told me, he said he used to ask him to stay home from school once in a while when he was bagging and really going, and Dale would do the bagging. But when I came out of service in '46, I tried to help him. He was still, that was the last year he did it. And I tried to help him. His work was scarce until I got a job, and then I worked nights, and I would help him in the daytime. But oh my God, that's
Work.
no job for me.
It's work, yeah.
I couldn't stand it. How he could, you couldn't even see the dust. You can imagine the dust in there flying and all over you, and oh my gosh, it was something.
Even where you broke the stone out at the quarry, you had to put it on a truck, then bring it up here
Bring it
to
up.
the mill.
Yeah, it's all labor, yes.
Yeah.
How much
And-
did he get for the bags of lime?
That 50-pound bag was sold for 40 cents.
Boy.
And he used to haul lime to Dover. He used to haul lime up to Pennsylvania. They loved the lime. The lime,
It's good lime.
it was good, one of the better limes for your ground. And ground needs, some products need sweetening in the ground. And that's what the lime was for. But he used to take that 29 Chevy truck and load it up, and it used to scare me to death. I knew the brakes wasn't any good.
How many pounds did they get out of one burning?
Well, I was trying to figure that out today, writing on the wall there, and as near as I can figure, he used to get about 16 ton out of that,
Oh, that's
out of
a
a
lot,
kiln.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's quite
Out of one burning.
out of one burning. That's what it says on the wall down there. He's got written on the wall down there, what, 9th burning, 10th, fired up 10th burning, 12th and 9th, and then over here is in the 18th kill. He's got it listed as how many bags he got out of that. He bagged this up, and then he had a place where it was dry on the end of the building where he was stored. And then he had a place there where how many ton he had stored in that building. And
Now, there was
people
only
used
one
to come
kill?
around. Now there's two kills.
Oh, two kills.
31, the first one 31, then he added on the 32.
32. So
So,
did he ever have them both burning at the same
oh yes,
time? Yeah.
oh yeah. You can see where they lit them off at such and such a time.
Uh-huh.
I imagine during the winter they kept quarrying the stone
Yeah.
and would have a good supply of stone on hand, you know, when they started burning. And, but it took quite a while to empty that thing out and fill it back up again. And I wish I would have paid more attention, but when you're young like that, you know.
I can remember going there with my father and buying the lime.
Yeah.
I think we just used like a cow table maybe, but I mean, I don't know for sure, but I remember going there and
Well, people came from all over until they ran out. I can remember we used to sleigh ride down there on, well, Jay, you probably sleigh ride down Kinkles Hill, right?
Sandy's was, remember that?
Well, what happened, you know, it was good sleigh riding down there until 31, 32. That's when they put the road through. And we used to throw snowballs at that old guy because he put that road through, you know. And but we didn't realize what the road was for. You know, we're only kids. But that's when that road went through there.
What did the lime rock look like before it was fired? Did it have a color? Was it white? Was it
Just a
Kinda
gray.
white.
It's a kind of a
Gray.
grayish limestone. Now,
was it soft?
no, it's hard.
It's hard.
Old Henry Kinkle, I used to watch him down there, and they used to talk about him. You take a sledgehammer and you beat on a stone, you and I could beat on it for 15 minutes. Roll the stone over and he'd look at it a little bit and then whack, and the thing would fall apart.
Like the seam.
Yeah, to be able to see the
seams
seams, yeah.
I like to feel it in myself.
Yeah. But if you knew what the seams look like, you know, you saved yourself a lot of hard work.
So it's all work.
He used to do some drop forging down there too. Is the old drop forge in that building yet?
No. I never.
Because I remember working the puff forge to heat the iron up.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was her grandfather, the real old.
Henry King.
Henry,
Yeah, he used to call me Mustard. Every time I went to the store, I was getting a jar of mustard. He called me
He had
Mustard.
a building down there along the creek, and he had his forge shop.
Right. Oh, that was there when I came out of service, yeah.
Yeah, but the forge was going, huh?
Yeah. John Henry used to sharpen picks and stuff in there,
Yeah.
and with the old charcoal.
you know, just as
And,
a footnote, John Henry had that old truck. And when I first built my shop in the front, I worked at C.K. Williams, and they tore his mansion down. So John Henry, I asked him to go over and we'd get wood over to, and it's still in there. It's hemlock, never rot. The front shop is built with hemlock. And he was very slow and deliberate man. Never went over 15 miles an hour, so it took us. And we went over there and we loaded the truck up with this wood, pulled the nails out and everything, had a whole load of it. And when I come back, I says, well, how much owe you, John? Oh, $10 would be plenty. We were out there all day, you know. and 15 miles an hour out, over 15 miles back. So, but I'll never forget that. That's something that always remains in your mind. You know, he's quite a guy.
that man, I believe, could make anything.
Yeah.
He had patterns. He made patterns. If something broke, you know, you don't run to the store and buy it. There was in the old building down there. There was wooden patterns out of nice pine, all made, and he would take them someplace and have them board, whatever you do, put them in sand or something, don't you, in a pattern, and have the part made. Then he had a big lathe down there. Oh, he had a lathe. God, I think that lathe was about 8 foot.
The Drilley's wells. He had him out there with the sticks to find the water for him. I remember that. That was back in the late 20s.
I can still hear him singing in the Presbyterian choir. When the windows were open, him and Lizzie, his sister, you know, Lizzie Bud. I guess it was sister, right? John Henry's sister. Well, we're getting off the subject here a little bit with the lime kilns. However, I think that
Well, here's another. Didn't he used to have quite a few goats at one time too there?
Oh, God, he had all kind of goats. He had a
I
lot of
remember,
goats. He used to tie them out.
They had a place where they milked them there, that one building, didn't they? They had them up on a stand or something?
Yeah. Backing up a little bit on the quarry, the reason they bought that lot down there, I understood, was so they could burn the stone. And there's all kind of stones uncovered down on my place there. There certainly must have been soil on them. But I believe that they uncovered all that, and I think they filled the first kiln up with that stone, and it didn't burn. Because there's stone down there that still looks burnt to me.
Looks burnt,
And he talked about that, but like I say, I didn't pay attention. But that stone, that the old stone crusher, Ingersoll Rand used to bring a lot of their drills out there to test them. That was one of the hardest stones they could find around. And when I was a kid, I don't know if you remember, Jay, there was rods sticking up out of the ground so high.
Yeah.
And we used to swing around those, and they were stuck. They couldn't get them out. And
Oh,
old
but-
John Henry worked at those after Ingersoll quit testing there, and he got them all out. I just sold them for junk about 2-3 years ago. And they had the drill formed right on the end. You couldn't take it off. So evidently that was one of the first drills that Ingersoll Rand produced, because they take them off, you know. Now you replace the drill head, you don't. But they were formed right on the end of these big rods.
The lime was to sweeten the...
Sweeten the ground, yes.
Was it a
Lime.
fertilizer too?
No. It's good for your lawn, it's good for the fields,
It
and
sweetens the ground.
sweetens the ground for a lot of crops. I just read sweet potatoes, don't want that.
You still put it on, I don't see too much lime.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
we got the lime on it.
It's gray, isn't it?
Huh?
It's gray today.
Gray and tan and blue.
They grind it today. They don't burn it, I understand. They grind it real fine. It's not a burnt lime like this hydrated lime, was it called? Soil delight hydrated,
Well, see-
dehydrated lime.
Back in those days, you didn't need too much lime because Edison was here.
Right.
All that
You
lime
get it right on
came
the-
over on all the farms, you know, they
Yeah.
didn't really need too much lime in this area.
Right.
In fact, I think it's only been maybe the last 20 years that really had to do some liming.
Well, if you notice, all the stones are back to their normal color. Years ago, all the stones out that way were all white.
Yeah.
I mean, every stone.
All the
fence
roofs were
rows,
too, everything else.
Yeah,
Everybody's roof was white and,
but you don't see those stones anymore.
Stewartsville's built on lime.
yeah.
The whole
I think-
town is lime.
That's what I always said, Jay. Why do you have to lime the ground when it's all limestone? We got all the
Because it's so
sinkholes.
far
and
down, it
everything.
doesn't work up.
Evidently, yeah.
It doesn't
But
break off that much, I guess, you know, and it's only like the knolls or
Yeah,
knobs. of the
streaks of
field.
it, yeah.
Well, it's like 15, 20 feet down, but
what they
I
call veins,
remember
right?
the horses, how they used to be plowing and all went to sinkhole and the
Yeah.
horses would go down in it. You ever had that down there, Bob? Yeah.
So lime is a tough business, the old way.
Yeah.
And the building's still down there. The kilns are starting to crumble a little bit. I should put a cap on them. But they certainly had a lot of work. They got a 3-foot wall in the front of that building between the kilns and the building. I measured it yesterday. And they had to build a form there, and they had to mix that by hand. They didn't bring no concrete, because you can see the boards, and you can see they put stones down in between. You can see the stones where they mix a little a wheelbarrow load at a time.
This is one of the kill bricks,
Yep, that's a fire brick.
and they're just laid up, no mortar or nothing,
No.
huh? In other words, they're just up and
Right around the ring like that.
around, and probably the next layer split the seam.
Right.
Yeah. That's heavy.
Yes, it's heavy. This is due to the burning. They could have been burnt how
Okay.
many more years, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I'll start that business up.
I don't know, a little late, pretty hard work.
Well, that'd be the hardest part, the backbreaking part of, them days, they didn't know any better, but.
Yeah.
Hey, there was no money. They must have pecked away.
Well, let's see now.
That's about all I know about
Yeah,
lime.
right. Anybody else have any questions as
Yeah,
long as we got
I
out?
want to see if I have this straight.
Yeah.
This is a big hole with no top. And when you see that little opening, that's where you pulled the leftover stones and stuff out.
That's where the burnt stone comes out of, called the eye.
Yeah.
They're still there.
Yeah.
I'd
I
like
think
to.
that maybe
That's what I was
Lloyd
gonna
could
say.
go down there today and take the pictures
Take
in
some
connection with
pictures,
this.
Yeah, but put it on.
Put it on the video.
Yeah.
Well, I had a fun Sunday. I said, no, I got to go give a speech. So my grandchildren were there and everything. So I said to the one, come on, I want to try my speech on you, show you the lime kiln. Well, the first thing I had 4 or 5. And you know, they never all,
No, they
they're
don't.
25 years of me around, and I went here and there and there, looking here and there. So I laughed. John, the oldest one, said to me a couple days later, he says, you know, I was telling about that tour you took us on, Pat. I said, I got 30 people lined up to come up and take the tour.
Holy.
I said, okay, get $10 a piece and
Yeah.
we'll go.
Might as well make a
Then
pay.
the state was the answer for the money tax.
I think that your kill's about one of the most preserved kills around. I haven't, the rest of them I see.
Well, I think, Carl, is because of these.
Yeah.
I think most of the kills were made of just
It's just
Stone,
regular stone, I
just
mean-
regular stone, yeah.
and
They got the fire brick in.
just for their own use, the farm.
That's
Yeah.
what he was.
Everyone had one, I believe.
Most
The other ones, you know, back on the folk farm, there was like a double one. that's all fell in because there was no bricks like that in there. It was all
I
stone.
don't think so. Right over here,
That's where he did the light
Raina's,
pulled out the
when I was a kid, there was one facing this way.
Well, it's just about filled in because
Yeah, that's
here,
right.
I'd say about 3 years ago, Jim May was up here from Maine. And he's interested in skills, and we were looking around all over. And we were over there, and you could just see the hole.
What about across from Johnny Esposito's? Remember there was 4 or 5 kills back in
Back
there?
in there, yeah.
Yeah.
I always felt like I never back in there.
At least 4 or 5, wasn't there, Jay?
Yeah.
At least.
Now, the best one I've seen is still preserved pretty well is Horace Smith's.
And where the gas station
But he's got
is, too,
sticks up
that
in
used
front
to
of
be
it.
a lime kiln.
And they've been there ever since he's been there. Well, I ain't about to ask you to move him so we get a picture of the kill. You know, but
Yeah, I know.
and I know where the one is on where I live. It's all been filled in. It's just below Barry's house up on that bank there. But I can see the burnt stones there. That's the only thing I can
Well, there
see.
used to be one right along the road on the curve, right before you get down to where the old iron bridge goes across on that first curve. There used to be one there when we were kids.
Well, that's where he
That's where they
quarried.
quarried the
That's where he
stone.
quarried the stone out.
There could have been one
There
there.
might have been.
Yeah, there was.
In Pap's book, what's he say, they went and looked at the Hance quarry, he called it the quarry. The Hance farm he must have looked at, and he looked at, I guess, what ground would that have been down there where he got it? Was that over?
Now, as far as I know, did he own that or not? No. Harry Aubrey owned it
Oh, yeah?
because
That piece of ground?
my dad bought it from Agnes, I think. Back in
And there
the
was
50s.
another one they went to look at, but
That belonged to Harry. I don't know how he got that. It was only an acre or two, I think. Well, of course, they dug back probably half acre, maybe more. I don't know. They had put a hole there. And I remember
Oh, and they
your
took
grandfather doing the digging mostly. If he didn't get a
Oh,
ride
yeah.
with your father, he walked. Because I see, I used to remember when he
Oh,
walked.
yeah, sometimes my dad wouldn't go, he'd be walking in.
And,
But he took a lot of stone off that corner.
no, I tell you, he must have dug a half acre more off of that.
Oh, yeah.
He put a hole there for once he filled it up.
Because we used to stop when we went seminar, I used to always stop to see old Mr. Kinkle. Watching him. He was so moving like John Emery and boy,
But
when he-
the
at
point
the end
is,
of the day,
they
he had to
accomplished
eat.
something.
I
They might have still moving, but they worked all day and they
Yeah.
accomplished something. That's amazing. I think,
Well,
That's about it, Carl.
so that's about it. Anybody else got any questions here before we close this session? And I think this is about 4 or 5 of these memories of the past that we have made here, and they've been well received. I'd like to thank you, Alan, for coming up. So I guess that'll wind us up for tonight.
Comments that Mr. Hawk made last night regarding the Lime Kiln. I'm at his home, and I'm walking up with him ahead of me to take pictures of the actual facilities he was talking about. Okay, now we're just starting. Alan is ahead of me here, and he's getting ready to point out some things.
Well, here's where these fellows my father-in-law had to dig out by hand, I'm sure, and make a road up to the kiln. That tree wasn't there at that time, I suppose. But they brought the limestone up after they quarried it on this 29 Chevy truck and brought it up through here, up to the top of the kiln. And you can see how they flattened it out. You can see how much dirt they must have moved. Look at the stone in here. Like I say, thinking lime is all work, so you can see how much work it would be here to take all the soil off of here, and I'm sure stones, and move them and whatever. And I think what they were going to do is use this stone to burn, and they found out it wouldn't burn.
Right.
So this is why they had to go elsewhere for their limestone. So they used to drive up here with this truck.
We're walking up the road now, roadway.
And this was back in 31 and 32. And I can remember this, like I said last night. They went right on down around here and out. And we used to sleigh ride off of this hill when I was a kid. And boy, we threw snowballs at this old guy because he ruined our sleigh riding, you know.
Right.
But they made this road all by hand. They had to dig it all by hand. Now, what they got over here where the kilns are is they poured a concrete wall on 4 sides, 3 sides, and then they must have dug this hole, or they laid the stone up and then took this dirt and piled in behind it, you know? And you can see how it's a little deteriorating on the top. But they're all fire brick. And they must have laid this up and then filled it in with dirt behind it. And I don't know if you can see the eye of the kiln down in the bottom there, Lloyd. I don't know how that'll show up.
The hole at the bottom?
Yes.
Yes, I'm getting that now.
Yes, that's the eye of the kiln. And that's where they had to pull the lime after it was burnt, the stone, out that hole to put it on the floor down there to put up the conveyor. Be careful, don't trip. Now this one I started filling up with junk. Then I quit. I thought, how dumb can you be? Someday they'll maybe don't want to take that all out of there. But I've been going to put tops on these, but I haven't gotten to it yet. This one looks a little better than pour concrete on there. I don't know if you want to walk over there to the building.
Stone into the
kiln.
kiln.
They used to drive right up there. That's why they built the road.
And each one of these would have 50, 60 ton, you said, of finished product from the
No,
of
not that many. What'd I say?
stone. Last evening you said something about they had 50 or 60 ton of...
they got between 600 and 700 bags of lime. It varied evidently from...
I see, 30, 35 ton then.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, that 35. I figured between 32 and 35 ton they got out of each one of these.
Right.
Of lime.
Yes.
Now you can imagine how much stone went in the mow, right?
Oh,
Probably
it must have
double
been
that.
50, 60 tons
Yeah,
then.
the stone probably that much, yes.
Yes.
Huh.
We're following the paths of the original road that drove down from the top of the kiln.
This concrete they had to pour. And
Now we're looking in the eye, what is called the eye of the kiln. The bottom, as we saw up at the top. Look at the concrete, as Alan is saying. There's a tremendous amount of construction here to reinforce the kiln.
This is about that has to be about 4 foot into the kiln itself. But then they had, this was open. This is tin on here now that we put on.
Right.
But they had to take that rake, or, oh, I don't know what you call it, with the thing shaped like tongs on it, and pull this stone and burnt limestone out of there, out to here or someplace, and then shovel from here into the building. I mean, that's quite a carry, you know.
Yeah.
They could only get it to right here in the eye,
Right.
and then scoop shovel and take it in and put it on a heap inside. And well, this is one of the fire brick that's around. You can see it must have been special made just for kilns, I think.
I think so, yes.
Sure. And railroad irons in here, like I say now. Uh-oh, that looks like it was burnt, Lloyd. They must have had a acetylene torch to burn all these railroad
Yeah.
irons up.
Yeah.
And up here's all railroad irons. God, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And inside, there's all railroad rails going across the bottom.
I see.
And then they would stuff the papers in wood and tires or anything underneath there to get the coal started, you know.
Right.
That's an old forge. Better eye to see.
You can see the forms here they built to pour this concrete. Now I'm moving over to the eye of the additional one. Now this one is more open and there's sunlight shining down through it, and you can see the width of the eye and the depth of it that went into the bottom of the kiln. And still we have the railroad iron across as a brace across the top. And of course the top of the kiln is all covered with railroad irons too. And as Alan was saying, they had to be cut by a torch because nobody's going to saw the thickness of those railroad irons.
I don't know where they got all this stuff. They must have. I just don't know. I wish I knew more about it. But
Now that was very hard work. I can see it there to pull that lime out from the bottom of the kiln and then shovel it behind myself here into a shed for bagging purposes. Why, you earned your money.
now this kiln was built in '32. The other one was built in '31. They added this one on,
I see.
and they must have tried it for a year or so, or a couple of years with the one, and then decided to build this other one. Well, no, 31 and 32, they couldn't have done that either. They must have had in mind building two, I guess. But they used to close this eye up almost all the way when they burnt,
Right.
but so it could get a little air from the bottom, so it would keep burning like a, like a chimney or something.
Flue, yes.
Yeah, like a flue. But I gotta tell you, that is some work in that year to mix this concrete up. I'm sure they just mixed it up in batches with an old concrete mixer or something like that.
Or even a trough pan
Yeah,
and mixed just a batch at a time.
and it's all they'd mix the concrete and then they'd put stone in it and then put another load of little concrete in it and another load. Took a lot of time. 7. So the 21st, so that's when it goes up to the 20th. All right, fired the 20th, January 2nd, 1937. That's January. So on the 20th, there's 20, 24, 22, 6, 2, 4, 6, 66. Oh, and then there's more. Well, here's 647, the 18th. 213 bags, 144 bags, 198 bags, 647 bags. And 606 that I can read. 607. Let's see, 15th, 16th, 17th that one was. 17th firing. Isn't that something? The wife and I just happened to read the show. And
That's interesting.
yeah, see here you can see January 1938, January 1st, 1939, January 1st, 1940, April. So from January, they must have not started then again till April.
Right.
But I imagine they kept quarrying the stone all winter to keep ahead on the stone, because that was a slow process, is getting enough stone to fill these things up with, right?
Right, I can
One-man
imagine.
operation or two-man operation. But, no, that's the original tin that's been there in all those years.